I was already tired of Nigeria, so I wanted to move out of the country. I designed a business I was going to do abroad. I wanted to go into food business, and I was going to marry somebody for papers. So she asked me for $8,000. I paid $4,000, but I didn't just want to move without having something substantial. I started Landwey then.
Real estate in Nigeria isn't for the faint of heart. It's chaotic, ruthless, often unrewarding. But Wale Ayilara chose to build anyway.
Developers are the ones creating communities. Sometimes we think governments are the ones creating communities, and whatever we do determines how the communities will look like. You can imagine that people spend a lot of billions building estates of about over 1,000 people, and there's no clinic, no hospital, fire service, nothing.
From selling his first plots door to door, to developing large-scale estates, and now pioneering Isimi Lagos, Nigeria's first eco-city.
A developer will build something and call it luxury. People who do that don't even understand luxury. Is it 5-bedroom luxury, 3-bedroom luxury? Do we understand what luxury is? So bastardized.
This is the story of what it takes to actually finish projects in Nigeria. The setbacks, the betrayals, the lessons no one tells you.
Now, real estate is at inflation of about 348%. Let me explain what that means.
I want you to take me into the mindset of Wale. Like, how did you even get into real estate?
Well, getting into real estate was after I've had one of my biggest failures in business. So I've done so many businesses. I started business at 14, 15. And I've done so many things, even as a student. I was doing so many businesses on campus, in and out of campus. I was doing training for NYC, doing training for different federal government development programs, Shopee, amnesty trainings, on entrepreneurship. So then at the point, I built a vocational school for training for students where they can learn different skills. Because then there was a lot of ASU strike, and what I had to do is to figure out how to engage these students in different skill acquisitions. So I'd done that, and after school I did that as well. Got into the NYC side program, was helping them to train, but it wasn't enough. And I was doing this back then in Ogun State, but it wasn't enough. Then I moved to Lagos and I went into digital marketing for, different companies. But it was a thing at that time, digital marketing, because not too many people know how to use the digital space, then the social media and all of that. But I wanted a niche market. And I started researching, and I saw real estate as a big opportunity, all because I think one day I was working in Eche, and I saw a guy that was trying to sell a property of about 45 million and was sharing a flyer. I was like, this guy is sharing a flyer on the street of Ireland. Nobody's going to buy. Because the person that wants to buy a 45 million naira property would not really be walking on the street of Ireland. How can this guy do what he's doing in a very smart way? I was already into digital marketing. So I saw the vacuum in real estate. And I said, I'm not sure real estate people have tapped into the digital space. So I started doing digital marketing training for real estate. But that got me into the real estate space first. But that allowed me to understand a lot of data on how land acquisition, housing sales. I was just gathering data, and I saw a lot of opportunities. I saw the challenges. The challenges first was what got me involved, because I saw how that space was, and I saw how things can be done better and how different things can be advanced. So I just, training real estate agents on how they can make use of social media, Facebook, Instagram, email marketing, and all of that. So I started with that. And I was also training this agent for real estate companies to help them sell their product. But I saw how some of them were doing their businesses. And, one day I walked into a meeting with one of them and I said, I think this thing can be better done in this way. And the woman said to me, do you think it's easy? Can you do it yourself? And I'm like, I've done business all my life. So, and that was a challenge for me. Then I went into research about, okay, what are the vacuum in real estate? How really can I enter the market? But one of the key integral thing I had to do then was, I don't really like entering a space and just doing what is already existing. I like to see what I can advance, because that's what is going to give you that disruptive attention first. So I saw that many people were not using drones, they were not using Google, nothing, no pin, and a lot of some of these sites, they just signboard, nothing, titles were missing. People were just very much more transactional and not really trying to build a business that is sustainable, brand focus. So for me, I wanted that business that is not just about transaction, because you can really get carried away with, let's say, transaction. And anybody can do it. It's not really an intelligent business. Anybody can do it, because it's just buy land, build, sell. So anybody can really do it. But I wanted something that is beyond just doing real estate. It is understanding what the customer wants, and not only what they want, trying to even understand what they will want without even them knowing that they want it. So going into all those research and all of that help us to understand the market and how the market works. And that was what gave us a really huge break in the market when we started.
So I want you to walk me through Landwey, right? You started it in 2016 with zero capital, right? Yeah. And today it's worth millions of dollars. Yeah. And so I want you to walk me through, when did you know the moment I could do this? Like, this is something that there is power sustaining this type of business.
Yeah. So my game plan when I was training agents, I was already tired of Nigeria. So I wanted to move out of the country. So I'd finished school, I'd done my vocational school and all of that. But I wanted something more. And I designed a business I was going to do abroad. I wanted to go into food business. So I'd gotten my visa and I was going to marry somebody for papers. So she asked me for $8,000. I paid $4,000, so I was just going to move. But I didn't just want to move without having something substantial, something, I wanted to rent a house on my own. Be able to start on a good note. So I needed some money. So I wanted to gather money. So I started Landway then. I didn't even think of it that it was going to be big, but I just registered the name and I was already training the agents and all of that. So I needed to sell a product that can give me the kind of money I was looking for. Then I moved out of the country. So I got this land. It was already an existing land with one of the companies I was helping recruit agents. So the guy wasn't doing a good job. So I just told the guy that, see, give me 50 plots. I'll pay you in 3 months. At first he thought about it and I was like, nah. But he didn't want to lose the agent I was training for him. He didn't want to lose that part of his business because his business was not making any money until I started training agents for him. So but I was able to convince him to give me the 50 plots. So he gave me the 50 plots. I told him I was going to pay him in 3 months. But the strategy was that he gave me the 50 plot at the price he was selling in the market. Meaning he was trying to shoot me by the foot. Thinking if I'm going to sell, I must sell at a higher value that is selling so that he can still continue to sell and it will be difficult for me to sell. So I thought about it because I needed really that 50 plots. So I went back to the drawing board and I said, you know what? If I can get this guy on 3 months, I can get him to do 6 months. So I'll sell this land in 30 days, pay him half of the money, renegotiate for an extended period of time, then use the remaining amount to get another land and then just exit. So I just map out that kind of plan. And I called some of my agents that I was already training. I said, hey, I have this land. Let's sell. I increased their commission by a little percentage above what the market was already paying. And everybody jumped on it. So, I had the agent anyway. I had WhatsApp group of agents and all of that. So I told them and everybody jumped on it. They jumped on it and they were able to do it in even less than 30 days. So we sold the 50 plots in less than 30 days. And, after we sold the 50 plots, I was going to pay this guy, let's say on Tuesday. I was going to the site on Saturday. Then I got to the site and I saw the Moniles came out and, this guy is not the owner of the land. Who sold to you? I'm like, I mentioned his name. He showed them his picture. They said, no, you don't know this guy. Really? I prostrated on the floor. I said, please. I see, I've sold 50 plots here, you really have to help me. Tell me the real owners of the land. So, they said, no, I have to give them something. So I gave them something. Then they said, okay, they're going to take me to the traditional rulers of that community and all of that. But that would be the next day. So I could not sleep overnight. I was just rolling that. What am I going to do? I've paid commission. Am I going to? So, but the next day I went to see the real owners of the property. So immediately I got there, I just posted on the flyer. See, I've sold this land, and even if at all you've not done this for anybody, and this guy, you don't know him, but please, I just need to, spoke all the Yorubas I know and all of that. And eventually they said, okay, you know what? You seems to be a very young man. I mean, very nice person. And okay, so we'll give you this land. And so I asked them for the price. They gave me 50% of the amount the guy offered me. Instantly there, I wrote a check. Then I told them that I want 100 plots. So they gave me 100 plots and I wrote a check for them of the part payments, and that was how I got into that deal. And a month down the line, the guy called me again because I didn't pick his call on the Tuesday I was supposed to pay him. He was calling me. So when I just got tired and I just pick up because I say, you're a scammer, you're doing this thing. It's not right. It's not this. And never called me again. Till date, he never called me again. But these are the kind of challenges that happens in real estate and all of that. So after selling that plot, I took my agent for retreat, told them about the vision of the company, what we're trying to do in the market, we're trying to, change the face of the market, just something to just, boost them up and tell them that. But I had plan B in my mind. And see, after this, I'm not going to do this thing again. I'm going to America, and that's it. So, but I went for my sister's wedding, and that was a game changer. Mm-hmm. So this was in December 2016. So I went for my sister's wedding, and my brother asked me that, oh, what do you do now? I said, I'm into real estate. And he said, really, you're into real estate? Really, where? I said, oh, Lagos, this Eche axis. He has a friend that's been trying to sell a property. He lives abroad and he's been trying to sell this property for some years now. I said, that's my calling. I can sell this thing. The jollof rice didn't matter to me again. Nothing in the back party mattered to me again. I just wanted to know where this property is. And they took me to this property. It was on Shangotedo, on the Monastery Road. It was a good location. And I just said, I can sell this land. And the man asked me on the phone, how many months do you need? I said 3 months. I said, no. See, I've been trying to sell this land and, I'll give you 6 months. Whatever you need to pay me on this land, just pay me. I looked at the value of the land in that area, and considering what this guy is offering me the land, I'm like, this can't be real. But sometimes you also have to recognize the hand of God in all of these things. But I said, okay, I'm going to sell it. But I checked all the papers, everything checked out. Why is this guy trying to offer this property way below the market value? Is he in any problem? But if he's in a problem, he won't give me 6 months to sell the property. So, but I took the deal and I took my agents there. We launched the project. And I said, you know what? If you can sell 5 plots here, I'll give you a car. If you sell 5 plots here, I'll give you a car. I don't know. These are agents that I've trained on how to use social media and all of that. They're already good at what they do. So I said, if you can sell 5, I'll give you a car and all of that. And after we opened it, I still had my plan B of moving to America. So 3 days after, we had opened an office, very small office. I put some people there. Like, if this thing doesn't work, I'm not desperate. I'm already on my way out anyway. So I traveled to the US, met the girl, but I try to attend every Nigerian party, church, and the question on my mind that I was asking people is that, how long have you been here? This one will say 15 years, 20 years, 25 years, 30 years. And I asked them questions. So what do you do? And nothing. I was there for almost 30 days and nothing was inspiring. Nothing. I didn't meet anybody inspiring. I didn't meet anybody that looked like what I wanted my future to look like. And I said, I was just very uncomfortable. I said, I can't be here. I can't be in this rat race and do this. I just can't. I have much more. I've been out for long. I started business way early. There's a kind of life I wanted to live. There's a kind of solutions I wanted to build. And I didn't see myself doing that in America. I could see that there's a cap, and it's only few people who are extreme outliers who get to do something different. And even still, there's still that. So it wasn't a place I wanted to be for me. So, and I would attend parties and I ask them, yes, you live in this big house, they're still paying. You have this big car, they're still paying. You don't own anything, really. You still have to struggle out this thing. Yeah, the system is, but I just didn't want to be there. And I told my auntie that I'm going back to Nigeria. I told the girl, see, honestly, this deal can't work. I think I'm going back to Nigeria. My auntie called my mom and said, see, it's like, I believe you now. Now you said this boy has some kind of spirit affecting him, chasing him. I think I believe you now. Because this boy is supposed to be here. And I said, I'm moving back to Nigeria. I'm not. But while I was in America, one of the things that gave me the conviction of moving back, my agent at home were doing fire. The property was, they were just moving deals. They were moving deals. And I was in America, and on my phone, I had 1.5 billion. I'm like, if I can have 1.5 billion in Nigeria, this is America. No, I'm going back. This thing is going to work. Yeah. So, but I had moments to myself in America to design the business. I said, Wale, do you really want to do this? But if you want to do this, you have to do it and do it well. You have to do it and create something very remarkable in the market. So I thought about it. What kind of business do I want to build? How do I want to build a business? Am I ready to devote my time to do this for the next 15 years of my life? I had time to ask myself the real questions. What are the problems in the market? How can you change the face of the market? What are the kind of products you need to create? Where are the locations that is the next big thing in Lagos? Do you want to do Ikoyi? Do you want to do Lekki? Do you want to do all that? And I picked one location. I picked from the second toll gate down to Eche. It was crazy. All my friends said, no, you should do Lekki phase 1. I said, no, this location. And I looked at the data. I looked at rate of migration, where people are getting more jobs and where they are staying, and how the rent is increasing, and what that location is going to look like, and the concentration of all Lagos State infrastructure. So I looked at all this data, and I called few agents. I said, I need this size of land because we have the money already. We have these 5 size of land. I need one in the Brahmadesoya. I need one on that same Shangotedo Monastery Road. So I came back. I brokered the 2 deal, paid them, and the project I did in the Brahmadesoya, I did that project in 2017 January after I came back, because I saw that people were moving to that axis. At that time, that road, there was no median on the road. You can turn from anywhere. You can drive all the way from second toll gate to Eche without brakes. The road was that free. But I saw that people were moving to that location. I was buying land at 2.5 million naira per plot. Those lands now are 180 million naira per plot. This is 2017 to now. Because the demand was there. And then, when you have demand and there is no supply, of course, there will be scarcity. So all of those things where, you do reclamation and all those things, and then, but the value, most importantly, infrastructure will drive the value, and, and the kind of thing that you're trying to create and all of that. And I saw how rent was increasing on that axis. It was just a better location for real estate, because people needed good housing to live on that axis, because there were no, and people believe that whatever you build on that axis should be for the poor. There are people that would, I've done quite a number of projects on that axis. I did one project called the Urban Prime, and people were telling me that this kind of project should be in Ikoyi. And I keep asking myself that, are you telling me that people that should live here should live in shanties, or should not have better infrastructure, or should not have, I brought a 33 kVA line from Chevron to that road. I invested a lot in it, and people kept on questioning, why are you doing all this infrastructure? So people here, don't they deserve infrastructure? Don't they deserve to have 24 hours lights? Don't they deserve to have better road? Should it be only people living in Ikoyi, living in all of that? But what people didn't know is that all of those things were driving the value of those locations. And we've stayed on that location for for the whole years of the LandWave brand. And what we've done in that, because our own goal is to transform communities, is to build communities. We say that our vision is to be a sustainable brand driven by excellence as a leader in the real estate sector with the largest market share. So for us, it's about building communities. We don't want to do solo projects. We just don't want to build houses. We want to build communities. Because if you take a drone view to look at the entire drone view of those areas, you see that all these areas are not really planned. You want to go to the mall and you have to put your car on the road. There should be a walk path, there should be a park, but developers are the ones creating communities. Sometimes we think governments are the ones creating communities. All land belongs to the government according to the law, but developers are the ones building the landscape of all of these communities. And whatever we do determines how the communities will look like. You can imagine that people spend a lot of millions building estates. Billions building estates. Estate of about over 1,000 people, and there's no clinic, no hospital, no fire service, nothing. So, and if you look at the landscape from an area view and all, you see the amount of mess that we've already created. But we can still correct some of these things. They are, real estate will always be green. Right now, we've not even started in Lagos. Lagos is a metropolitan city and is growing, really growing. The question you ask yourself is that how many core members go back after NYSC when it comes to serving Lagos? They all stay back. 90% of them stay back. And we're still going to start doing vertical structure. There's no how we're not going to do vertical structure. Lagos is surrounded by water. The land space is limited. We cannot even use all the land space because we need a lot of space for grain. So vertical infrastructure development, and then planning those communities to have, let me be able to move 5 kilometers without even getting on the road. And Lagos is doing a whole lot right now. There's a whole lot of road works, road expansion, and all of that. So with private-public partnership, all of these things will work with the train system and all of that. So, but developers have a lot of key role to play in some of these things. And for us at LandWave, that's one of our key focus. How will people live in the future? Where will they live in the future? How will they want to live in the future? So for us, these are the kind of research that we do. And that's why we can come up with a project like Isimi Lagos, that we're talking about wellness. Really, in Nigeria we are into the future right now because a lot of people are not thinking about it yet. But in the next 10 years, in some part of the world now, wellness is a key focus. Now people are looking for wellness clubs. People are now changing their focus from the regular clubs to wellness club where they can be about 50 people in a sauna all together and there's a music playing and they are, so people are thinking towards that line. And we are now designing a wellness community, in Eche, over 2 million square meters, facing the water, back in the express, people growing what they eat, because organic food, as we know it now, in some part of the world is the most expensive. But this is where we will still get to. Now people are missing their childhood. They're trying to connect to an experience in their childhood that they cannot find again. People are living in the concrete structure. The new thing is the middle of nowhere. The new luxury is the middle of nowhere where you just go to and you can feel yourself. You can connect back to nature. People want to live longer now without all of this pharmaceutical chemical components and all of that. People now want to go extremely organic. People want to, all of those things. This is our own focus right now. Within Isimi Lagos, people can grow what they eat, and we are really, really, really moving fast on it. Now we have a farm shop and we're trying to grow, stuff that people can. And one of the incentive within Isimi Lagos is that if you supply something to the farm shop, if you have to grow something within your project. If you grow something within your project and you supply to the farm shop, you reduce your service charge by 50%. So you want to grow. But
also, we're gonna get into Isimi because that's a whole section. I think before you go further, I want to kind of go back to some things. So number one, you talked about going to America and leaving. And I really want to go into this point because a lot of people who watch this podcast are living in the US right now in this era. I don't know what year people will be watching this. I think this will be a evergreen interview. And they want to leave, but they feel stuck, right? They want to come back to Nigeria. There's lots of people in Nigeria that are like, I want to go to America, right? So I want you to talk about really that decision to, not go to where everybody is looking for. Every day the embassy has interviews. Every day people are like, how can I get an American visa? How can I leave? So how did you were there, you had a visa, you almost had a wife set up, right? Where you would get a green card. Everything was on a platter. All you had to do was take it. So what made you leave all of that and bet on Nigeria?
So the truth is that, funny enough, we're still discussing this in the office yesterday, and it was the center point of my discussion in the office yesterday. The truth is that there's nobody in Nigeria right now that you will tell not to travel abroad and they will listen. They will never listen.
Yes.
They want to see it for themselves. In fact, they have the first 3-month pictures they want to take and post on social media. They already have it. They already have it in the mood board somewhere. They will never listen. They will never listen. In fact, I did a lot of proof of fund for a lot of people who moved to the UK, and all of them are regretting it right now. I called one of my friends and it was like, he made the biggest mistake of your life moving. But also what happens is that, sometimes where people don't, we're thinking about what other people will say and not looking out necessarily for what works for us. So we're thinking, oh, I've sold everything, I've moved here. What will people say if I move back? So let me keep at it. My driver in the UK driving me to the airport on Saturday, and he said to me, I've been here for 25 years and I really want to move back. I was a stockbroker in Nigeria before I moved there, and I feel I've lost a lot of time. My children are grown now, and really, I can't really point out to what I've been able to achieve being here. So, and there are a lot of people like that. There are success stories. But what I don't want people to do is to move without a purpose. A lot of people move without a purpose. They move because it's become a bandwagon effect. Like, everybody's moving, so I've got to move. And an average Nigerian is not patriotic about this country. And if you can't see the good in anything, you will not see the opportunities in that thing. So Nigerians are looking at and not knowing that is even, the more the problems, the more the opportunity. Abroad, the problems you will see here are not the same problems that you see there. And the truth is that what people complain about here is times 10 over there. The crime rates abroad, in America, in the UK, is way, see, America is just Nigeria that has gone to Harvard. That's just
He's
it.
packaged.
Better PR.
Yeah.
Better PR. Nigeria, we don't have a good PR. And Nigerians don't even believe in the country. Everywhere there's bad leadership. You can't, if you go and speak to the Americans, many people don't like their president. The way some people don't like their president here. If you go, now people who voted Labour in the UK, now they don't want Labour again. So it's always going to, but as much as people want to think that the government are the ones to create an enabling environment, the government are the ones to create, if you keep thinking that way, you're really not going to do anything. The entrepreneurs are the ones who build any economy. And the entrepreneurs there and the entrepreneurs are the people who grow. So really, what you owe the government is to pay your taxes and be a good citizen. Other than that, if you're looking at what the government will do for you, doing business in Nigeria now is crazy, but there's no other better place. Doing business in Nigeria now, your borrowing can be 34%, can be 30%. 2 years ago, I just don't want to touch any bank loan. I decided that 2 years ago, I'm not going to touch any bank loan because it's crazy building a business like that. But somehow also for you to scale, you still need finance to scale. That's where you have to now be very, very strategic. But the opportunities back home is still a lot. I see it every day. I see. On Sunday, I was with a friend who is trying to renovate his office and was complaining about artisans. See, you can't do too many things. You can only do one thing. But people also need to see so many things that have not been done that can be done. We don't even have an artisan structure where I tell somebody that 60% of Nigerian university need to be converted to vocational school.
Yeah.
There's no point. You study chemical engineering, you cannot even mix otapiapia. You know what otapiapia is? Otapiapia is that thing that they used back in the days to kill mosquito. You can't even mix even a cocktail. Industrial chemistry, whatever it is you study, let's convert. Let people go and learn carpentry. Let people go and learn plumbing. Let people go and learn some of these things. Because how do you think China was built? Indian. I have a lot of Indian friends. I have a lot of Chinese friends that we went to Harvard together. And all of these people, I listen to them every time. And one of the key things they had to do to transform some of these countries is the fact that they are building skills. Here we're just so theoretical, and then we're doing it with pride. A lecturer will come into the department and download the notes he used in UI, and then set exam for you on it. And they will tell you that if you fail, you fail in life. You know, that kind of thing. So our educational system, we really need to know what really matters. It's not that you can't. What is the essence of you being a mechanical engineer and you cannot even change a tire? So let's change our focus. Let's turn all those schools to vocational schools. Let's start producing. Let's start producing furniture. Let's start producing paints. For every department, do you know what happens in Nigerian universities? At the end of your time in school, you do a project and you spend a lot of money. In fact, your parents can even go and borrow money for you to do that project, because those projects can be expensive. And you do that project, submit it and defend it, and they'll go and store it somewhere, not used. Projects that should be converted into enterprise. They just dump all of these projects, not doing anything. And what I always think is that all these projects should be converted into some practical stuff that somebody can start a business on and build it. So I feel, first, our biggest problem is producing what we consume. And we have to focus on production locally. Yes, you talk about the challenges, no power, no all of these things. But they always be, all these challenges, you have to find a way to navigate it. Even what we call these challenges, it's still people that will solve it. Either you want to be part of the solution or you want to be part of the problem. In life, these are the two categories of people. So when I see people abroad, a lot of them hear the bad stories back home. And that's because we're not also doing a good job as a citizen of the country. Everybody is trying to lament, looking at the bad side of. There will always be bad side. The rate of crime, like I was saying, is high abroad. Children stabbing parents. So all of these things and how many of those things do we have? So what if you want to relocate and you're saying, because Nigeria is not safe, nowhere is safe. People carry guns in America everywhere now. Carry guns. How many people carry gun in Nigeria? Mm-hmm. People carry knife in the UK. In fact, if they want to rob you in South Africa, they will first stab you. Mm. They want to rob you. They will first stab you before they rob you. Nigerians are just trying to survive. Yeah. And we are very, very energetic, talented people and all of that. It's just us looking in a different direction towards the brighter side of things, to say, what can we do differently? But you see those challenges that people talk about, this is where the opportunity is exactly. So when I see people abroad, and that system there, a lot of people are stuck in that rat race because they get in 2 years, they post picture, we bought a house. You didn't buy a house. You're paying for 30 years or 20 years. And that house, maybe your mortgage will be at maybe 9% per annum or 8% per annum. So you're just there. The bills keep you in that system. Yeah. The bills, you bought a brand new car, you're paying. you see those bills. In fact, your children might even go to school on student loan and all of that thing. You're buying, even people buy phone on credit. So all of those bills keep you in that system, and you're thinking, how can I get out? You want to, before you know it, 20 years, 25 years, and you've lost track of time. But there's really, yes, it's good. Abroad is good, is good for exposure. But when we go there and look at what is happening there is a lot of opportunities to come back home and replicate it. There's no place like Nigeria. I see Nigeria as the land of opportunity. There is nowhere else in the world. I've been to most places and I've seen people live abroad. But to me, I don't know, to many people, and I don't know the kind of vision they have. Nobody inspires me abroad. Nobody. Nobody inspires me abroad. Nobody.
So who inspires you here?
A lot of people inspire me back home. And see, I think I'm too lazy to even stay abroad. All this DIY, I believe that I can use my mental capacity like any other place to create, to do your manual work, mechanical work and all of that. But labor is still very cheap in Nigeria. Still very cheap in Nigeria. You can afford a driver, you can do all of this, and it gives you time to do so many other things. Now people take time off work just to focus on children, because the same amount you are going to pay your nanny is the same amount of money that you are earning at work. So it's better you just take time and just do that kind of thing. But aside all of that, the kind of solutions that can be created here, people have no idea. It's just for you to be in Nigeria for 3 months. 3 months. Decide that I don't want to see anything bad. You just decide, I don't want to see anything bad. And if I see anything bad, I want to document it and say, how can this be changed? And not be discouraged by how many people are doing it the bad way.
Yeah.
But, we always think about bad and then always try to shift the blame on somebody and thinking that somebody else will fix it. If you can see it, that means that you have the capacity to solve it. So, and if you create these solutions back home, solution brings money. Nothing else brings money. Solution brings money. And there's so many. We don't even have something like tax rabbits. That I was telling that my friend, I said, if a university is giving out, let's say, 500 carpenters every year, and out of that 500, that if you want to get somebody to do your carpentry work, you can just go online and then pick that person. You see the person's certification and all of that, and you can rate the person. When they know that they will get more jobs based on that rating, it's just like Uber drivers. That if you have a low rating, you are going to, those things can be, somebody created it. You can imagine somebody creating Uber abroad and then he's still working in Nigeria. Why can't we create it in Nigeria and take it abroad? And that's how we need to start thinking.
There was something you said to us when we first came to Isimi that has always stuck with me. You said a developer is almost like a mini god. You go out into land that has not been developed and you say, let there be light. And what that process looks like. And I remember just that sticking with me because most people, it feels very daunting, right? Building in Lagos is not for the faint of heart. Has there been a project that almost broke you where you said, I don't know if maybe it's time to start thinking about some other sorts of career? Is there any project that's really stretched you? And what did that feel like?
Yeah.
He's still stretching you.
He's still stretching me. Nigeria is a very interesting country, but you have to decide as to the kind of game you want to play. You have to constantly do it afraid and no matter how tough the economy is, you must decide to be tougher than what you can imagine. Pounds is 2,060 pounds. And we're still smiling.
Yeah.
That means that even if pounds is 5,000, 10,000, Nigerians have the
Gidigba.
Yeah, we have the, and we don't look at all of those things. We build regardless. for me, I had in 2019 August, that was before COVID. So we said, we have this land, and then we said we're going to change the entire face of this community. It was Ibamade Soya, Ogombo, Axis. We said we're going to change this entire community. That road was a dead road. We said we're going to change the entire face of the community. We're doing 4,000 homes. I was so excited about the project. We designed it to be extremely functional. Also people don't build functional homes in Nigeria. Developers just want to build. They're not concerned about the living structure. How people are going to live there. If they want to go out, they open the door like this. People don't think to that nitty-gritty. Oh, if I sit here, then I need a socket on this wall. They don't go through all of that. We did that. It took us about 4 months just to design. And we had to look at everything. I was so super excited about the project. 4,000 homes. The marketing was good. We acquired the right property for it, the right location for it. This was 2019 August. We opened it up. By March 2020, COVID happened. After COVID, before COVID, we had done some infrastructure. We had built one house. I think 4. So during COVID, it was like the world was going to end. So I was already thinking about the project. This project, are we even going to have people live in this project at all? It's like the world is coming to an end. This thing is going to wipe everybody out. And I called somebody during COVID, and the person said, you know what? The world is coming to an end. You need to, liquidate all your blah, blah, blah. Then I called somebody else that said to me, see, you built Landwey when dollar moved to 500 for the first time in the history of Nigeria. This was 2017. Dollar moved to 500 for the first time. And you built a company. So this COVID is not going to be the end of the world. Sit down. We strategize this business. And that was exactly what I did during COVID. So while everybody was thinking it was going to end during COVID, I was doing meetings with my team that immediately after the lockdown, we want Urban Prime to be the center of attention of the Lagos real estate markets. So we had workers on site that were feeding. We didn't allow them go out. So we're still paying them. They were working. Immediately after COVID, we had finished the house, stage it, because people don't stage houses in Nigeria. Then we started staging as if you just need to bring your clothes. We had dummy iPads, we had dummy car keys. We did all of that, bought all of those things, brought them in and all of that. And it was wildfire. The market was ready for it. Everybody was coming to Urban Prime. We had a lounge. It was a very good experience for people. And in 2 years, we actually did 4,000 homes. We sold. But what had happened is that immediately after COVID, the demon we're going to face was still doing rehearsal. When it started, dollar started going up. We started the project in 2019. Cement was 2,300. By 2022 September, we shut down. We're no longer selling because this is now real estate is at inflation of about 348%. Inflation, 348%. 300 is. Let me explain what that means. This is your revenue. If your expense is like this, between this and this is your margin. Then you're profitable. You can now decide maybe mid margin, high margin, low margin, whichever one, but you're profitable. It went like this, and this revenue is not a one-time revenue because there's also payment plan, 18-month payment plan, 12-month payment plan. People are paying in bit by bit. And what people abroad also think is that, once they want to move money in, they are praying for Naira to fall. Forgetting that they are thinking that they're also doing investments. But when they want to move that money out, they are paying for Naira to appreciate. You can see which one should God answer. So the revenue is like this, and this keeps going up. Expense keeps going up. At this now, there's no, you are doing CSR. And that's not going to work for your business. At this, you're already in a mess. You are at a loss like this. This is your expense. This is your revenue. At that point, we already started spending money from other revenue source. But we're thinking, okay, you know what? Let's save we can lose money. Let's not lose clients. So that we keep the brand. But at the point when we got to, this was still growing, we cannot go and meet clients and say, had more money. They say, oh, we signed contract and all of that. House is not something that you do abracadabra and it will come up. You need, for each house to be completed, you need about minimum of 15 other contractors to make it happen. Other contractors that you will need to be praying and fasting for them to deliver your job. If you give them too much money, and some of them would even ask for 80% mobilization, if you give them, they'll go and buy a car first. That's the way it works. And you have to be chasing them to deliver your work. You need a painter, you need a tiler, you need a POP guy, you need a carpenter, you need a woodwork person, you need a builder, you need a plumber, you need a electrical guy, you need aluminium guy, you need iron, you need 15. So because we don't build, we're a real estate development company, but we depend on other subcontractors to do their job. We had paid people before COVID. Immediately after COVID, people started looking for the money. Oh, I can't come. I do, the money, blah, blah, blah. We have to be paid again. I can't do the job at this price again. Then you go to review meeting, variation. You can imagine you've given somebody 200 million to do a job, and he's now saying that this work, I can only complete it for 350. And he can defend it. Cement is this. Iron rod was dancing Makosa every week. No jokes. Iron rod will play Makosa, you will dance it. You have to buy it. And it was going like this. And at that point, he said, okay, this is what we have to do. We have to shut down the entire residential portfolio of Landwey. We have to shut it down. We can no longer sell. We have to refund money. So the first is everybody that defaulted, we have to we refunded. Till date now, we refunded more than 14 billion naira. And I'm still refunding because it's impossible for me to get it done. If I ask you to add more money, imagine you've paid for a house of 65 million naira and to complete that house now is 125 million. It's not the fault of the buyer. Yeah. It's not the fault of the developer. Cement now is 10,200. Some good days you get at 9,500. Imagine what. And it started at 2. This is just on one material. There's sand. There is granite.
Iron rod.
There is iron. You see that iron rod is the real demon anyway. Iron rod. There is. And how many of these finishing materials do you think we produce in Nigeria? How many? All the socket, all the bulbs, all of this stuff. And people say that, oh, house in Lagos is expensive. House in Lagos is expensive. There are so many factors. Extreme. So many factors. If I go into that, it's just, there's so many factors. Considering the amount of borrowing cost, you can ship something in and the price will change. To even perfect title documents, to do all of these things, it's a whole lot. So we had contractors. I'm still chasing contractors now. People that went away with 600 million, 400 million. What do you want to do? You take them to court, you're stuck there. If they cannot provide the money, will you kill them? You are the one that have brand. They don't have brand. They don't have name. They are dealing with only you. You are dealing with multiple customers. At that point, and that was the question you asked about, is there any, at that point I said, that was the first time I doubted real estate. I said, I think that real estate can kill you very fast. It can actually kill you very, very fast because that's a huge loss they are trying to deal with. And that was the first time I asked myself that this real estate thing can kill you very fast because it was revenue, expense, and expense keeps growing, keep growing. While you are at that discussing variations and all that, clients are impatient. I want my house. Some will call you scam. Some when people abroad, they are quick to use the word scam because in their head already, that scam is the fastest word to use. Anybody in Nigeria is scam, but these are the situations that one can deal with. And I sat down and I said, you know what, we're going to cancel this entire residential portfolio of our business. And we had to re-engineer the business, remodel the business into exact, because sometimes you have to sit down and see how you can adjust, but you not adjust to die. You adjust to still scale. And in the face of every business, you will go through the phase of startup. You will go through the phase of growth. At every level of the business, something will test your determination. From startup is a proof of concept. Can people buy your product? Growth is, okay, they are buying. How can I increase? How can I meet up more demand? And then from growth to scale, stage 3. Okay, now the market is knowing about us. So how can we do this thing in large scale? How can we take on market share? After scale, you see that thing you've done on your scale journey. The next level that will test this is stability. What you've built, something will test the strength. And one of the tests of stability is something trying to destroy. Will shake you up. And we got to that stage as a business. Is either we die or we survive. But I've survived all my life. So I looked at it and said, well, the honorable thing is for us to refund everybody. There's no crime in being transparent about it. The facts are there. For us, we have even spent way more than we've collected. So, and every books can show it. So, and we keep record of all of these things. But I sat down with the business and I said, you know what? We have to relate this to clients. We can't stop talking. So we send them communications. Every client has a relationship manager. And this is what is happening. This is the option. We're still working on how we can figure this out. But if you cannot wait, we have your refund. If you want to convert to some other assets, we have. This is what we can do in discount and all of that. It just to be transparent. Either clients now believe what this thing, and we have. I've enjoyed the support of many clients who would just encourage you all through the journey and say, you know what, we've been with you all this. We know what this thing is. We know what the market is saying, but I really can't wait. And I can refund my money. Yeah, sure, we can refund. Oh, you know what? I want to convert to these assets. I believe so much in this business. And our clients say, you know what, you guys are scammers, you guys are this and all that, and it's very easy for people to go online now. And the integrity you've built can be destroyed in a minute. But the way I see business is that business is not a sprint, it's a marathon. You want to be the business for 20 years, you want to be the business for 50 years, 100 years. Something is always going to test you at different phases of your business, because after stability is sustainability. It shows that you've moved and then you want to build the business of the future. You want to be, so for us, we moved past that stage. We moved past that stage and we looked at the entire thing. But that residential was the biggest business challenge of my life.
I really want you to explain further, because we have a large diaspora audience. A lot of them might not fully understand, and not just even the audience, but even investors and around. Sometimes it's hard to explain the level of what devaluation looks like when a currency overnight just crashes, right? You're talking about investments, you're talking about savings, you're talking about even real estate portfolios, you're talking about the cost of raw materials. What was the price at the start, and what did devaluation take it to, so that people have an understanding of?
Dollar was
360,
345.
Yeah.
Dollar is 1,700 now. That's in fact, for the first time, cars are appreciating. Liability. How you will know the problem is when liabilities start appreciating. That's when you know I had a Lexus I bought in 2018 for 45 million. I sold it for 75 million. That's when you will know what the problem really is.
Cars lose value the minute it goes off the parking lot.
But so now, cars,
you can get money.
So that's
we buy a car.
Yeah. So that's how you will know the problem, how big the problem is. But you see, what I tell people in diaspora is that you want to invest in Nigeria. It's not first, if you're not very, very smart, it's not investment. You're moving currency you're moving a higher currency.
So weaker currency.
A friend of mine took $4 million into Sierra Leone. By the time he was taking the money back, it was $700,000. That's how bad it can be. But you know, everybody wants to do something back home. It's sentiment. It's not investment. It's sentiment. I will be honest. It's sentiment. Because you're thinking, oh, you want to have something back home. But the question is that if it's going to be real estate, what exactly, and that's where intelligence comes in. What do I need? If you need a house back home, you need a house back home. It's not, don't call it investment. Because when you are moving that dollar by the time you are moving it out, can turn to, no, it's just the reality.
Yeah, no, you're being honest. You're being honest.
But you want a house back home because when you are moving that money, like I said, you're praying for the Naira to be bad. I have clients who say, oh, Naira will be 2,000, Naira will be 2,000. But when you want to take the money out, you are praying for Naira to be
400.
To be 400. It's not fair. But what I tell people is that if you want to do investment back home as a backup plan, because the truth is that the kind of return you get in Nigeria, you can't get it anywhere else in the world. It's just the honest truth. Maybe no, let me say anywhere, but in the most popular places that we know, America, England, and all of this, you can't really get that kind of return. So I tell people that once you're moving that money into the country, don't have a plan of moving it out.
Yeah, Naira for Naira.
Naira for Naira.
Yes.
You want Naira for, you move money back home, leave it there in Naira. Trust me, when you cross the border into Nigeria, you're a millionaire. Yeah. You might not be millionaire
in dollars.
But the moment you arrive at Muritala Mohammed International Airport, everybody starts hailing you, Chama. You are a millionaire. And you can also be a billionaire. You can grow your Naira, and by the time you cross, you are a billionaire. You don't have to be billionaire globally. Because I don't need dollars. My expense is in Naira. If you keep dollars, the day you change the dollar back, inflation will swallow it up. It's just the honest truth.
Wait, let's pause there because I have a question around this. And maybe this is my own selfish thing, but I get this question a lot. Because you say your own expenses are in Naira, right? So even as you furnish your home, all the decor and all that, because literally we were talking to our neighbors and they were saying how they wanted to build all the furniture in Nigeria. Same thing with us. We want to build all the furniture in Nigeria. Drama, fights, different things. And I think also because in America, right, I can go to a Home Depot, buy all the material, find someone online and build it, right? I have a direct relationship to them. In Nigeria, I always have to go to a third party. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know the project management they're doing. So I'm curious, like when it comes to that, you're not importing anything? Everything's being done?
Your raw materials will still be in dollars.
Yes.
Now, what I mean by my expense in Naira, I just look at my expense in Naira. I'm making Naira. I'm selling my products in Naira. I'm not selling in dollars. So when I need dollars, I will change. And that's one of the things that is causing the inflation. Because when you're buying your raw materials in dollars, and you're bringing it back in, so you have to change prices and all of that. But you're still selling in dollars. So if you're selling you're still selling in Naira. If you're selling in Naira, then you're making Naira. You're not making dollars. So I make my money in Naira. Whenever I need dollars, I will still pay in Naira because you just pay and get your dollars and get it done. But what I tell people is that if you're trying to do something back home, just see it as
sentiments.
You want to come back home and you want to be Odogu in your own country. Because even if you look at this thing, $200,000 in America is a big amount of money. Yeah. It's like 200 million. So it's big amount of money. So it's still just that imbalance that makes us think that, I mean, people that locate abroad, they think that their expense is going to be in Naira. So they are looking at the currency, but the expense is going to be in dollars. You might not even be able to save anything at the end of the day.
True.
So you'll be thinking, oh, the currency is higher. It's like when you get there, you will spend in dollars. So they look at the currency as if, by the time they get, and that's the idea.
And America doesn't bow down to you.
Somebody will travel abroad, and by the next day, they're expecting you to start sending cars back thinking you will be picking money on the street of. But it's just the idea that many people grew up with and all of that. And because also we've seen this thing as a big deal, crossing the border, going to some of these countries. And it becomes big deal when we start giving this thing as testimonies in church.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. You got a visa. How is that a testimony? Because you are crossing and everybody is shouting 9 hallelujahs. For what? It's a waste of time. It's poverty mindset, actually.
Yeah, scarcity.
So some of these things is what is making this thing look like as if it's a big deal. If you have your papers, you do your visa, you go, come back. And it's even more expensive now. Traveling for holiday. So internal tourism is the thing. Traveling for holiday, if you have 2 children, you want to take them for summer, you should be ready to minimum, you spend 30 million. Hotel, all of these things, buying their tickets, you spend 30 million. The richer you are and the lifestyle you are used to, imagine you're buying business class ticket now, maybe the cheapest you see is 7 million. And your wife, yourself, your children, business class, you're going to be spending a lot. So internal tourism so if people are thinking of investing back home, and I tell people that one of the best things you can invest in is land. House would expire after 15, 20 years. The higher the house, the longer time it takes to expire. But you see, you buy a bungalow in Nigeria, you buy a duplex in Nigeria, it's going to expire in 15 years maximum. The land becomes more valuable than the house. Is that being Ikoyi now? Now, land are more expensive than some, so you have to demolish the house and see how you can build a vertical structure. So houses expire. And for house, you're always going to keep spending. And you will not make your rent back. Minimum time is 10 years to make your rent back. So you're tying down a lot of money. And that money that you tie down at once, it will take you 10 years to make that money back. It really doesn't. In fact, if you put that money in any other investment vehicle, it will pay your rent. Because you can get 15%, you can get 20%. It will pay your rent. Let's imagine that you have 150 million and you want to buy a house. If you put that money in some of these banks, you can get 20%. You get 20% of, let's even say you are getting 15% of that. 15% of that is like 20 million. More than 20 million. 10% is like 15 million. And so you can live anywhere and your capital is still there. That money is paying, that interest is paying you. But this sentiment, I must own my house. You have to be rich enough to decide that, okay, you want to spend maybe 500 million in building a house or in owning a house, then that expense for you is a liability that you can afford to have.
Yeah.
Because you are going to be spending on maintenance and it's not cheap. So you're better off renting. So house would expire. So what I tell people is that land assets is the best real estate investment that anybody can do because land is always going to be green. Yeah. You're always going to be. And land, it doesn't require you feeding it. As long as you have a good title on it and it's well secured, you put your fence and all that, put somebody there, you're paying some amount of money, just keep an eye on it and all of that. It's not feeding. It's not, if you lock up a house for 6 months in Nigeria, by the time you're back, there will be something to fix.
Yeah.
Definitely, there will be something to fix and the house will continually collect money.
Even 3
but
weeks.
But the land is there and land appreciates very fast in certain locations. Because you have to look at, if you're investing in land, you must look at the emerging locations. One of the things that is a big indicator of land investment is migration, movement, city movement. Where are people moving to? You can keep a land. Let me give you this. If you have a land and you keep that land for 10 years, there's a time that they're telling me to come and buy a land somewhere. And I've always been in land banking. I love land banking. As a matter of fact, that's the major focus of our business now. You keep that land. The more you keep that land, you can actually do a land that probably you bought. I mean, when I was buying all those Shangote Ogun, about 2.5 million, 3 million, 5 million. Now, those areas are 80 million, 70 million. In Bamarusia is 150, 180 million. And all of those things are, and you see land will do that in a short time. 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, you can get better value on land, and you don't have to do anything. You just have it there, because land is always people are always going to need land anyway. Their land, there's a land transaction I did, and the guy bought it in 1992. The guy bought it in 1992 for 19 million. It was a huge expanse of land, about 5 hectares for 19 million, 1992. This guy sold the land for me at 3.2 billion. In 2021, 3.2 billion, and it was in his 60s. So 1992 to 2021 is how many years? It's like
20,
maybe 25.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Maybe 25. So that means the guy probably bought it in his 30s or something like that. So you make 3.2 billion in your 60s. You keep that money, you give it to maybe any bank, and you negotiate 25%, which they will give you, or 20%. Let's even say 20%. 20% of 3.2 billion. That's about 600 and something million per annum. Divided by 12. Divided by 12, that's how much this guy will earn every month. So he would do anything that, that guy will be making. If you divide 600 and something million by 12, that's almost 50, maybe about 60 million per month or thereabout. 60 million per month in your 60s is not bad. You not even do anything. You play golf on Monday, you play golf on Tuesday, you travel on Wednesday, you are back again on Saturday. You do anything that you want to do in your life.
It's retirement.
It's not a bad deal at all. And some people have seen into these emerging locations. At some point, Lekki Phase 1 was an emerging location.
Yeah, it was.
At some point, it was all these Jakonde Axis was an emerging location.
It was a red dirt road in 2008, I remember.
All this VGC was emerging. Now, people used to think that VGC was very far. Now, VGC is just down there, and then people even live. People even live in Eleko now. My driver lives in Ekpe. Ekpe rent now is 1.5 million rent in Ekpe, and is gathered. But because the population will always increase, and Lagos population is because everybody is trying to move to Lagos, especially when things are, in this age of social media, when you see your cousin in Lagos doing obule, you are in the village thinking, did they swear for me? You enter Lagos. I mean, that's how many Igbo guys move to Lagos. They go to the village in December, and they show that we have made something out of Lagos, and there's possibility, and then, they just come to Lagos and all. And many of us, I moved to Lagos also. I was not born in Lagos, and I'm living my Lagos dream now. So Lagos, once you see population growth, there's opportunity. People will eat, people will need a place to, and real estate will be evergreen. At some point when they started this metaverse and they're doing all this, I say, see, this thing is, you cannot you cannot eat in the metaverse. You cannot even sleep in the metaverse. You need a place. What will change? Nothing is going to disrupt it. What will just change is how we live, where, and then some of these things. In Nigeria, we're still very concerned about big spaces. What people cannot even get abroad, especially in London. If you stretch your two hands like this, that's the size of a room. You do like this, that's the size of a room. They have small houses, and all of this. But Nigerians are just concerned about big spaces and all of that. But it's really about great and functional spaces. As long as it's functional, as long as it's good. And we're going into that era now, because we're going to be dealing with the Gen Z generation and the coming generation after Gen Z. And we must design how we think these people want to live. There's a way our parents lived, and it's different from the way that we are living now. Now people are open to open plan kitchen. Those days you do open plan kitchen with the F40 smell. Everywhere is going to be destroyed. But now people are much more. There are better gadget equipment, kitchen stuff and all, that makes all these things easy. And things are just changing. So for me, real estate, people must, if they're looking at real estate investment back home, it must be in a very intelligent way. They must look for trusted developers, land with genuine titles, people with purpose-driven projects. People just want to do real estate and say, okay, I'm selling land. What makes it different? People with purpose-driven project. What is the purpose behind this project? What is the artisans of the developers? How are they attacking this project? What is their vision for this project? How passionate are they about it? Are they just concerned about because people can be concerned about transactions alone. Money. And it's easy to do that because the thing is that because there's a high level of ignorance, it's easy to leverage on it. Because really people don't go after information. So it's really easy to leverage on it. The one of the things that make some businesses thrive in Nigeria is the high rate of mediocrity in this country. So small thing is a big deal. That's why we have so many fake pastors. Because small thing is a big deal. But when you have knowledge, when you have information, it allows, there are some things that because of exposure is weird to us now. Like, how can somebody have tribal mark? It's exposure but those things back in the days were fashion. So it's just exposure that is making all those things change. So the high level of mediocrity is when somebody will raise their phone and think that God is going to drop a lot there. It really doesn't work that way. It's a bit weird. So, but because a lot of people are still in that ignorant stage, they're still very, so it allows a lot of things to try.
Wale, what does it feel like, just real quick, what does it feel like, because you've built thousands of homes, right? And most of these homes, it's usually the first time a family is moving into a home. What does it feel like to you when you see a family moving into the home? Because this is where they're going to raise their children. This is where they're going to create memories, right? What is that feeling for you personally when people are able to, this is my first home, we own it, we want to create our dreams here, our hopes, our fears, the whole thing. What does that feel like for you personally?
I love it each time I drive into some of the estates that we've built. And I see children riding their bicycles. I see people driving in and driving out. I see people, putting on their lights. I love it because, and, being in real estate made me understand how God functions. I told you that the work of developers is like the work that God is doing, or the work God did creating this entire universe. In the Bible, it says, let there be light, and the earth was without form and void, and, let there be light, let there be this, let there be that. That's what developers do as well. You go into a forest. In fact, most of the projects, not most, all the projects I've done from ground to whatever it is, and you just put the vision in your head and say, you want this like this, you want the home to be like this, you want a road here, you want this thing here, you want this thing here. So when I see those things come to life, and I see it, and I see people waking up, living there, it makes me kind of happy, and I feel, I think this is how God feels too. When we jump into the ocean and all of that, and then I say, wow, these guys are enjoying this. So I feel that joy too, and I feel, more can be done. Most especially, also, I feel in a very sad way when I see that people don't have a home. Especially when I see the way people live in Makoko. We came up with a CSR project 2 years ago called the Lagunics. How we want to transform that environment with floating houses and ensure that their water, we can clean it up and all of that, and then create that. And we're going to use some of the proceeds from our project to actually do that. And we're still in the design phase of it. And all. So, because when I see people live like that, but God created these people. Nobody deserves to live like this. So I see that too, and it breaks my heart. And you feel this thing can be better. It is what God has put in your heart as a developer. You just want to create things. You see environment and see how it can be better. So that kind of feeling, the way I feel very excited when I see people living in some of the homes that we've created, and I see people living in a certain way, and that's one of the things that drives me in creating those solutions in real estate.
So you talked about Isimi Lagos, right? But I want to get into the details because, again, a lot of people are going to look at this and say, oh, I want to go there. I want to explore. What is the opportunity for anyone going to Isimi? And I want you to debunk, because this is a common comment I get. Oh, it's so far. Why would you want to live so far, right? I want you to talk about that location, why, and what would be the reason for someone who lives on this side, right, to move over there.
you know, when people say it's too far from what? Far is relative. You know, some communities that are created now, that we have now, used to be far. You know, it's like when New York was the center of things, New Jersey used to be far. Why would you want to do New Jersey? But it's relative. When population increase, it's a matter of time. People not even care how far it is. If you have a train all the way from Eche and you have to take a train of maybe 25-minute train to VI, it's not far. When what you need is there, it's not far. So far that I get that VGC used to be far. Chevron used to be far.
Yeah, I have a home in Chevron.
You know, Chevron used to be far. Lagos Business School used to be far. Palanadic University used to be far. From what? So far, when you have the largest concentration of expatriates in Lagos on that axis, you're saying it's far. That's where the free trade zone is. You know how many workforce will work there? The fact that you are in VI and people that are going to work there will need a place to stay.
Yeah,
it's far from what? So, and when you look at the whole Lagos State infrastructure, the entire focus of Lagos State is on that axis. Eche has one of the finest roads in Lagos. One of the finest roads in Lagos. Very wide, well done. You know, and Lagos is doing so many things. The food hub, the film city, there's a lot happening on that.
Even the airport.
The airport, which is just across the Isimi water on the other side. So there's a whole lot. And you can go there by boat. If you have money, you can fly in there. You can drive there. From this place to Isimi now, from Ikoyi to Isimi now, it's just 1 hour by road. I've done it many times. So 1 hour by road, people live in the US and they drive 1.5 hours to work every day.
True.
People live in Maryland and they work in DC.
I live in Germantown. I had to go to DC every day, 8 a.m.
So, yeah. So
1 hour.
At the point when we started the Isimi project, people said, oh, they're not going to do the road. You know, because we really don't have faith in government. We think when government say they want to do something, it's going to take ages for them to get it done. All you need is the right leader and they get the work done. At the point when we're doing that Isimi Lagos project, they say, oh, they're not going to do the Lagos Eche Expressway. They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. Cranberg is almost done with the road now. They attacked the project full force. And now properties are just going up on that axis now. So for me, Isimi Lagos is a project that there's no better place to put it. Where are we going to get 2 million square meters? Is it that we sandfill the water on the lagoon? Because Lagos is sandwiched between the lagoon and the ocean. Yeah. So for us to increase the land space, you have to do some reclamation. Where else can we find what we're looking for in terms of nature? It's only on that axis where you have a lot of trees and all of that, and we can build within that and then create a community. Wellness community. For me, wellness is the focus now. Wellness is the focus, how people should live. Now, I've not bought pepper in 6 months. Now, yesterday they were telling me pepper is expensive. I said, hey, it's expensive. How much is it? Because I grow my food. I grow my food now organic. And people don't know that we are what we eat. No matter how you pray that God should not take your life, the only thing that is within your control is what you eat. The rest is in the hand of God. But you see, what you eat is not in the hand of God. Whatever you eat is what becomes the formation of your body.
Yeah.
If one of your organs fails, there's divine healing. But at the same time, prevention is better than cure. Mm-hmm. You know, so how do we ensure that we live better in that kind of, we don't even allow cars. You have to park your car by the gate, and then you have buggies, electric scooters, bicycles, and all that you go around with. Grow what you eat, and your house must have minimum 15 trees. 15 minimum is in the ethic guideline. 15 trees minimum. But unlike, concrete everywhere, you just have a concrete compound everywhere, and then you just plant few trees and you think that, and what people don't know is that we need those trees to survive.
Yeah.
What you take in is oxygen. What you give out is carbon dioxide. What those things need is carbon dioxide for them to survive. But they give you oxygen.
Yeah.
So it's a symbiotic relationship. So we need a lot of it for you to even have a clean air. So, and what we're designing in Isimi is about wellness. Is that place that resets you.
Yeah.
Anytime I go there, I'm in a different space. I'm happy. Not everybody needs to see it. As a matter of fact, when we're going to do the project, I've not shared this before. It was, what brought about that project was during COVID. So during COVID, that was when I started thinking about along that line first. My friend lived in Abeokuta, and in Lagos, we're counting death numbers. So I traveled to Abeokuta to see my friends. No nose mask. No, nothing. No, we are the one doing health, this thing, using nose mask, one nose mask a day. My mom was using the same nose mask every day. And they were living fine. No, none of their friends died. Nothing happened to them. Some of them didn't even get the vaccine. And I started thinking, wait, is it that this COVID visited Lagos and didn't go to Abeokuta? What really happened? And I got to know that it's a component of how they live their life. Our compound is big. When we're growing up, we grow during summer. We don't know travel abroad. What is travel abroad during summer? That's the time you do your cassava. You turn into gari. You harvest. Anytime we cook yam, we don't throw away the back, because that's what will turn to the black powder amala thing, and then we do lafu, all of those things is the white one. That's what they eat in Abeokuta and all. And we can go to the backyard and, we have animals. In fact, on your birthday, they kill a chicken and give you another small one. And then you rear that one till your next birthday. And that teaches you responsibility. Now, all my kids will not be going on summer for a while. They'll be with me in the farm in Isimi. They will grow. They will tend to animals. Because these are the things that is missing. We've given them iPads now. You say, oh, it's their generation. But we don't know what we're raising. We have no idea. That's not how God created us. Those things are good. It's technology. It's an enabler. But it can also be an addiction.
Yeah.
So I want to teach my kids to grow, to take care of animals. I mean, do you know how many kids have not seen animals in real life? You just see them on TV.
That's a point.
Some of them you cannot even allow them to walk barefoot. These are the things that we did while we were growing up. You run around barefoot. Now they put their leg on it. No. Germs. We are killing their immune system.
Yeah.
We're killing it. People died a lot in America than people died in Nigeria. Sure. You know why? Immune system.
Yeah.
Africans will live differently. But they want to commonize everything that we have and say, oh, we don't have our own herbs. You can't take them because there's no dosage. There's no dosage for your eforiro, for your ila. There's no dosage. You consume those things as you like it.
Yeah.
So herbs are good. I consider myself an herbalist now. I don't use any foreign medicine because those things are chemical. Do you know how many scandals that we have in the pharmaceutical world? Yeah. Yes, the solution is there, but also is a pencil and eraser system. If I give you a virus, I must give you antivirus, and I must continue to build my business towards the future. There are some diseases that they are culturing now with all these vaccines that people are taking, that pharmaceutical are building a business around it in the next 20 years. I'm not going to go there. I'm not ready for any. That's some different level of kaba.
But Wale, I've always been curious about designing of homes and communities and real estate. Why is it in Nigeria, or let's just say Lagos, there's so much concrete like you mentioned it, why isn't it more trees and much more green and much more sustainable? Is there I'm sure there's an economic incentive, but what was the reason that it even started to develop that way?
You know, it's still what we have in Nigeria is that people think that because this person has done it like this, I can also do it like this, because this is the house that I see around this environment. Conceal roof, light everywhere, you know, all of those things and all. So, and people have different tastes, you know. So, but we have to, if you're transaction focused, you do some of those things because you want to do, you know, you want to do what is attractive to the eye. And if you're not also very, like I said, some businesses thrive on ignorance and all this, you know, thing. But if you're thinking about the future, you know that sustainability is a key factor of anything that you should do. And when you think about these things, because people don't do research, people do businesses because they've seen other people do it and succeed in it, and they do the same business. People do business because, this person is making money, I can also do this thing, I will do it. Many people are not doing businesses thinking of, how can this thing be better? So innovation is very, very scarce. Most especially in the let's say space. Okay, count for me 5 projects in Lagos that you think that you think they are doing something very remarkable. Eco Atlantic.
Okay.
Remarkable project.
Yeah.
Remarkable project. It's solving a big problem. And the way it's designed, Lagos needs something like that. Is a remarkable project. Is an outlier. Then you go to which other one again?
Honestly, if you ask me, the only one I've been impressed with was Isimi. So you'll be in a better place to inform
Another
us.
project that I think they've done a very great job. And I believe that's how estates should be.
Yeah.
You know, estates shouldn't be, the way we use the word estates shouldn't just be about houses, and there's no experience to it.
Yeah.
You know, people build stuff for getting experience. People connect more to experience. You know, an experience is what changes the game of anything.
Yeah.
That's what gives that thing much more value, the experience. One other project I think they've done something very, very remarkable is the way they did Landwey. You know, is the way they did Landwey. You know,
I've never been, so I have to go.
No, fantastic project. Yeah, fantastic project. You cannot, every that one, estate. There might be some. But I'm talking about, you know, Landwey is the only golf estate that you will see in Lagos. If not even in Nigeria. There are golf courses, clubs, and all of that, but in terms of estate, Isimi is the only polo estate in Nigeria. The polo clubs and all that. But every project needs to connect to an experience. You can't count 5 in Lagos. Everybody just want to build houses, and forgetting that children are going to grow up in that place. Yeah. Families are going to be built in that place. How do we want them to live? What do they need? What kind of experience? There are places abroad that you will live there because of what that place means to you.
Yeah. Memories.
Yeah, not just because it's a house. A house can be anywhere. But what people consider in Lagos is when they want to buy a house, location, is it very good? And all these Joneses effect. These things are living there. I must live there.
Status.
As a matter of fact, a land in Ekpe is not different from a land in Lekki. In fact, Ekpe land is better than Lekki land. Lekki land will always give you iron water. If you dig a borehole in Ekpe, the water is clean. Dig a borehole here, that water will give you Fanta. Any day, anytime. So, and it's all this, this is where the elites are staying. And it's, we're quick to use the word luxury that we don't even understand. A developer will build something and call it luxury. People who do that don't even understand luxury. Even with the glory of Dubai, there are some things that they do that we will consider a luxury, and to them is not luxury. And we are not even close. Is it 5-bedroom luxury? 3-bedroom luxury? Do we understand what luxury is? So bastardized. We don't even get it. It's like putting some chandelier and it's gold is luxury. That kind of thing. So, and we don't have a lot of people. So, like I said, it's still because of the high level of mediocrity that we have in Nigeria. Most especially when people want to invest, they don't even do all of this research. They don't do all this. As long as somebody is dancing online and is marketing it and is telling you it's close to one refinery, it's close to people were buying Ibejuleki without even understanding. Once they say it's 5 minutes from the refinery, you're thinking they've not seen how a refinery operates. Knowing that if you buy a land close to that place, the only thing you can use it for, that is good for, is for industrial purpose.
Yeah.
Maybe you build warehouses or you build it, because the amount of trucks,
gas flares,
trailer parks and all of them, you want to build a house in that location. And do you know how many people bought into that location just because they think, Dangote is building a refinery and all that, and then land will keep appreciating? How many people want to buy land in Apapa? Agbara. How many people want to buy land in Agbara? Agbara has the highest number of industries in the southwest.
Yeah.
How many people want to live there? You live there because maybe that's where you work. You might not even put your family there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pollution. There's a lot of, there you have industries, there will definitely be pollution. When we're not even giving green incentive yet in Nigeria, so people will do anything. There's no green incentive. Even your waste, you still have to buy it yourself. Waste, we're not even there yet. That you must have the blue waste, the green waste, the red waste, and the black waste. To say, okay, separate your waste and all of that. That's a solution on its own entirely. So there's no incentive. So people just, Ibejuleki is this, people just, so people in diaspora too are, falling victim of some of these things, and, no research on title, no research on developer integrity, no research on developers' purpose focus, and so and all of these things. And that's what makes it very worse and giving the real estate is a lot of bad narrative. Yeah.
We're going to do a rapid fire segment, which is where we ask you and you give us a quick answer, or the first answer that comes to mind.
Okay.
Yeah. What's your guilty pleasure food after a long day on site?
Start again.
What's your guilty pleasure food after a long day on site?
Rice.
What type of rice?
Any form. I can eat rice in any form, but I'm cutting down on that now. So.
Okay.
It's carbs.
Yeah.
If you weren't in real estate, what would you be doing right now?
Tech. I'll be building solutions for business growth and all of that. Yeah.
What is your favorite scent? Like, because you smell good, so you're a man of good scents. What's your favorite that you're wearing now?
Tom Ford.
Okay. Anything Tom Ford you like?
Ombre leather.
Oh.
Yeah. I like it. I've been using it, and I'm a very loyal person. I can use the same thing for 5 years. I can use the same thing for 10 years. I've been using the same hair cream since I was a child. Morgan Pomade.
Really?
Yeah. So
I love it. And then the last question we ask every single guest is, who do you want to see on this podcast? Whose story do you think needs to be told?
You'll be so surprised. I'm sure you want to hear it. Toyin Subara.
Okay.
You know him?
Explain, like why?
The guy built what I think would have been the game changer in the entertainment industry in Nigeria. Tony Shubara built ITV.
What was the first purchase that you made, big purchase that you made that made you feel like I've finally made it?
The car.
Car. What's up with car?
Mercedes.
Wale, thank you for coming, man. Thank you for the time.
Thank you.